Hello, my name is John Broadwell, and I'm an embedded systems consultant at Broadwell Consulting Incorporated. Today I'm going to show you something that's a little bit different than my typical embedded systems stuff. I recently got a Glowforge personal laser cutter that I've been experimenting with for about the last 2 weeks and made some aesthetic items that turned out pretty nice, and now wanted to start doing some engineering work with it. So I thought, as a first project, let's try to create a rack and pinion. And so I made one of those up real quick in Solidworks using the power transfer toolbox, and I made sketches of 6 parts: this base, the back of the servo, the front of the servo, the pinion gear here, and the rack, and then a guide for the rack. And so I have 6 parts that have 6 sketches. They're single sketches that are simply extruded out 1/8 of an inch to simulate the draft board that I'm going to be using. Ideally you'd use something that was better and wouldn't wear. Delrin is my first thought, but I haven't ordered any yet. So since I'm just kind of going through the motions and learning things, I'm cutting everything in draft board. So we're going to see how to get these parts out of SolidWorks and into the Glowforge. So I will do one of these. It's the same for all of them. So for instance, here is the rack that we have. And it's real easy. I've got the single boss extrude from the single sketch. And we're just going to go to File, Save As. And we will go to DXF, and we will say rack20.dxf and say save. So when we do save as, we get this DXF DWG output. Just leave it on annotation views, and I always put my sketches on the front plane when I'm doing these Glowforge parts. So just click front. That guarantees that you'll get a view that is dead on for what we need with the laser. So that looks good. We're going to say OK. It'll show you a preview of what you're going to get. If you have any construction lines, or if you had a sketch open or something that you don't expect, you can click on them and say remove entries. This looks OK. So we'll say save. And that's that. So now we're going to go to my go-to program. We can't load the DXF files directly into the Glowforge online app. It'll throw an error. They've been promising back to 2016 that DXF support is just around the corner. So who knows when it'll get here, if ever. But we created this rack20.dxf, and I'm going to go to the file manager and just drag it on there. And it'll say, okay, what is your method of scaling? And we want to say read from file. That will load the proper sizing off of the DXF file. And we'll just say include and say OK. And hey, there's our rack. Looks good. So now this thing is in a format that we can cut. However, we want to have a little bit more control over the cut. So right now we have a single cut. And let's make sure, for the stroke style, let's make this 0.01. Make it 0.1. Just make sure it's sufficiently small that the Glowforge doesn't try to do multiple cuts. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a box around this, and I'm going to hit Control U to ungroup it. Now I have the inside and the outside separate. So I'm going to select the inside and set it in a different color. Let's pick this gold all the way over here at the end. So you can see now that's gold. I'm going to draw a line around it and regroup it. And what that does for me is it allows me to make the cuts in 2 different steps. I want to cut out the inside first, then the outside. If I don't group it that way, the Glowforge may cut out the outside, it'll fall down, and your focus length will change a little bit, and the part may move slightly before it makes this inside cut. So we want to cut inside slots first, and then the outside outline of the part. So that's all you have to do. Now we will just very rapidly go through and open all of the, and we will add all of the other parts that we want to cut to this SVG. Okay, so we've got our 6 parts in here. We've taken all the inside cuts and turned them into different colors, then regrouped their individual parts, so we'll be able to drag them around together in the Glowforge app. And we will do a save as. We'll do a save as, and we will say save up. Actually, I want to do a save as just so we don't have any confusions. We're not going to save it as an Inkscape SVG. We're going to save it as a plain SVG and replace. Okay, so that should be good. Now in the Glowforge app, we're going to go to Create, Upload from File, and we'll upload the Glowforge. We'll go to File, Upload, and we will upload the Glowforge rack and pinion. And it's processing. And boom, there it is. Okay. So we've got these 6 parts. We can drag them wherever we want. Okay. Looks like a fairly good way to conserve my board space. And the important thing here, you can see it's got the outlines set to cut first. So we're going to drag the inner cuts up, and I must have accidentally used a different color for this one. I must have clicked on the wrong color because it's saying that this one part right here, it's going to cut out in a separate step, which is fine. The important thing is that these inner cuts come before the outer cut. So that looks good. I'm using draft board, so I don't have to worry about, it's a Glowforge proof grade material, so I don't have to worry about print settings. We're just going to tell it to cut, tell it to print. It'll wait a minute. Okay, and this will be a pretty quick cut, only 1:53. So let's go ahead and walk over to the Glowforge and cut that guy up. So there you can see it. The dimensions all came out right. We have a functional part. Obviously, you'd add a lot more to keep the rack from jumping up and a variety of other improvements if this was a real project. But as a proof of concept to show the workflow of getting the laser cutted parts from your Solidworks sketches, I'm pretty pleased with the way this turned out. So if you're doing something similar to this, if your workflow is a little different, or if you think there's a better way to do it, leave me a comment in the comments below. Give me a like if you like this video. I really appreciate that. And if you need help with interfacing on your Arduino Raspberry Pi based product, take a look at my Serial Wombat open source project and the chips that I sell on Amazon. And if you need professional grade help with embedded systems or medical device development, including risk analysis and things like that, then hit me up at broadwell.consulting, because I'm always looking to help companies that have interesting new medical or other embedded devices that they're working on. So that's all I have for now.